How's it going, everybody? So Michael's got a video coming up that I want to do on all of his prep. I wanted to start looking at some items some dates, some numbers with Trump. I don't even know where to begin. So let me hang on just a quick second here. All right, that's what it was. Thank you, Lord. I was wondering. So my stepdaughter, now this is very key. I went to look up how many Bible verses you have to get through before you get to the book of Revelation opening before our eyes, which of course is when the Antichrist receives his crown. So there's 20, 29, 22, and 11 verses. That's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and the very last chapter in all of the Bible, there's 21 verses. So when you add chapter 1 plus chapter 2 plus chapter 3 plus chapter 4 plus chapter 5, you get a total of 96. Well, Revelation chapter 6, verse 2 is when the Antichrist receives his crown. That's the 98th verse of the 404 verses. Remember, 404 reps the book of Revelation, just like 66, because it's the 66th book in the Bible. 66 reps the book of Revelation, which Trump, of course, would claim he's the star of. And of course, we know Jesus is the star of the show, that Jesus is the protagonist, Trump is the antagonist, and they used the word protagonist when they did the movie Tenet. Matter of fact, his name, what is his name? Who was the protagonist in Tenet? John David Washington, Jesus from the tribe of Judah, from the offspring of David, as it said. I can't remember the exact wording. John, of course, Trump's middle name. John wrote the book of Revelation. And then Washington, of course, is who they claim was this first president. He's like a god. When you look at Washington on top of the Capitol dome, Washington on ceiling of Capitol dome, yes, he is revered as a god. So his name, they've got him up there hoisted as a god. They are all up in the clouds. They are angels. They are angelic. So he was the protagonist. Didn't have a name in the movie. He is simply referred to in the movie as the protagonist, and he is the star. He never had a name in the movie. Nobody ever called him Bert, Sammy, Clyde, nothing. Hey, you, no. He was the protagonist in the story. And that's how they see Donald Trump. He is the protagonist of the book of Revelation. So Marissa will actually have an 886 amount of days old coming up soon, because don't forget, Marissa, I'm sorry, let's backtrack. 98. It's the 98th verse in the book of Revelation. Well, Marissa was born in 1998. Believe it or not, there's nothing about her that does not. She was born at 8:08 a.m. or p.m. Can't remember, but I asked her that when we had dinner a few weeks back, and she was like, yes. And I should have asked her a.m. or p.m., but I didn't want to sound like I was, asking astrological questions. I was going over her number with her, though. And So she's 3 times 19 times 1998. And she's got the 138 for Donald Trump in simple gematria, the 88 for Trump in simple gematria, and of course the 86, which means to get rid of, to eliminate, to off. So, and she was born in 1998, and it's in 98. So I went to take a look at her. She will turn 886 days old beginning on June 1st, and that's going to run for a period of 9 days, I believe, through the 28th. No, all the way through the 30th. 8869. So from June 21st through June 30th, we have a window where my stepdaughter, who has these just absolutely insane numbers that point to the elimination of Donald Trump, she will turn 8869 days old. 8861 or 8860 through 8869 beginning on June 21st. Now, if you include both dates, I believe we can back that up to even the 20th through the 29th. Well, there you go. Now, her mom, remember, my first wife was Obama's birthday, and we're going to track Obama's birthday because his birth certificate was a big deal. I'm going to put that in Michael's prep because he and I discussed that. I might get to Michael's prep all in one video because I'm going to have to eat after this. And but we can do Michael's tomorrow because this is all about the following weekend. Okay. And right now I'm just going over some really deep concepts as far as how the Lord has spoken to me through a language when I was the pagan celebrating Christmas, and I was Catholic, and I was an astrologer celebrating Easter. When I was in the pagan world, the numbers, I was drawn to them just to see about my own life, because, and then when the Lord started showing me the truth in his word, the Lord started also showing me that all these numbers that he's had me understand through my whole life is actually pointing to the end time. So I use them. And they aren't connected to numerology or anything you can learn in the New Age world. It is a language the Lord gave to me personally, specific. Or demons. But why would the demon language world, why would demons give me specific just one thing that then shows me that Trump's the Antichrist? You know what I'm saying? So, and then why would I be knee deep in demons when I'm obviously knee deep in teaching the word of God truthfully? So we just have to get past that and see what all this is showing us. So we've established that. Okay, so let's go back to my first wife, Obama's birthday. And remember, Obama's birth certificate was a big deal. And they show Obama's face when we first get a glimpse that Trump is down in iPet Goat. His eyes get big, the apple opens up, and you get the rebirthing lily. Okay. So, and I've been tracking this actress recently called Lily James. Lily James. Lily James at Oscars. I'll watch the
Screen
Oscars.
Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series. Glamour Award for Next Breakthrough.
Okay. Anyway, and I can't help but feel the Lord. And I started watching her movies, and you know, I'm sure that we will have all kind of opinions on what you're looking at, but she literally has a she figure. When I see her up close or listen, it really, I go back to earlier movies, seems to be a her. And I've just really started watching her movies. And we don't think it's a coincidence that her name is Lily. Lily and I Pet Goat. So the Lord's just always been speaking a language to me through, I mean, it's just one thing to the next, right? So it's not just numbers, not just birthdays. It's people. And, let's get back specifically to my stepdaughter. So first wife, Obama's birthday, 8 times 4 times 1964. Obama was born my year and my first wife's birthday. My birth year, her birthday is Obama because he's August 4th, 1961. And I'm 1961 and my first wife was August 4th. Anyway, her number is 62848. Well, the next wife, which I was shown to see it, would be 629, which was the combination of Candy and her kids came to 629, which was the next progression, 3 digits. Or a 2-digit progression. And by the way, 629 is June 29th. 628 is June 28th. And this all falls into this range where my stepdaughter will be 886 days old, 8860 through 8869. But her mom, 2 digits, was 63, right? Like my third wife would be, as if I were to have one, would be 64. And don't forget, Trump is 6 times 14 times 1946. He is 163, 464. So, we've been through that a million times. So, but the 86ing of the 88, because I was her mom was 55244, her dad 15768, I keyed in something wrong there, 1.5768 times 5.5244. All right, so her mom's marriage number was out 2 digits, was 87, and then so you progress up when she married me, 88. So I was her 88. And so the 86ing of the 88 officially took place, remember, on Groundhog Day. And I've been reliving that divorce, just like the man in the movie relives Groundhog Day every day until he gets it right. And the Lord's been, I told y'all that these numbers from Earl's death pointed to this marriage, to the second marriage of mine and hers, through the divorce of both of us, that Earl's numbers showed that experience in advance, and that experience then takes us to the end times. And the Lord's been, from that, it was my process, it's been my salvational process from Earl's death through the marriage and divorce through now to Donald Trump, which they've all been linked through these numbers. And so Trump, being that he is 88 and I was my second wife's 88, and on Groundhog Day, it was the 86ing of the 88. And Groundhog Day, the Lord's been refining me from that day forward, from that divorce, to what? Conform me to the image of his son. That's what he does to his sheep, right? You with me? So, and that's what takes place in the movie Groundhog Day. He gets refined better and better. Each day he wakes up and he becomes a better and better and better and better and better person. So, I mean, have I been trolled my whole life through movies? No, I don't know. It's just, this is the pattern, okay? It's a synchronicity type pattern. So these things, in my opinion, need to be looked at. So the 86ing of the marriage, 88, specifically took place, if you go to the 23rd specifically, or the 24th specifically, you get the 86ing of the 88 and the 86ing of the 63, because she was my 63. She was my second wife. Remember, first wife was 62, next wife 63, third wife 64. When you go by those progressions, 2 digits. The 86ing of the 88 and the 63 all take place on June 24th, 2022. That's Marissa's. That's how many days old my stepdaughter will be. 88, 86, and 63. They're all fused in 8863. That's how many days old she'll be. A year ago on that date, condo collapse, Miami. Y'all, it was on the corner of 88th Street. It says at approximately 1:22. Well, don't forget, 22 is Groundhog Day. 22 is the day I divorced her mom, or she divorced me. I filed first, then her mom filed second. So I think they went by her divorce because whoever comes back and files secondly, I don't know, gets credited with the divorce or whatever. So June 24th, 2020, it says 1:22. June 20, and I was visiting my stepdaughter, Marissa. That next morning, I got up and I arrived in Miami. There I was in Miami. We were taking this picture right after the condo collapse. This was the Friday night. The condo collapse was on the Thursday. And there we are. So, yeah. So this all is definitely, I would, and if you want to include the day she was born, then it goes to the 23rd. Either or, but we have to look, I'll be looking at June 23rd and 24th just for those reasons. And we will, I will look at, to see if any of these eclipses that we're tracking will bounce off of them. Now, y'all remember May Day, my friend, May Day. Who turned Trump? My May Day friend who turned 13463 days old. 33 days later, I turned 22196 days old. That's Trump and I's combined number. And she turned this on that famous March 11th anniversary date. 33 days later, I turned this date. And then 33 days after that, or I turned that many number of days old, 33 days after that, we get the total the total lunar eclipse of May 16th. So what's weird is this person, we'll call her May Day, born May 1st, 1985, her and my stepdaughter had a most amazing crisscrossing of days. Notice the amount of days between my stepdaughter and I are 13405 days apart. 13405 days apart. Myself and May Day are 8,700 days apart. Again, myself and May Day are 8,700 days apart. 8,700 even. Stepdaughter and I are 13405 days apart. Well, on January 12th of this year, my stepdaughter turned 8,700 days old. Let me go ahead and try. Yeah, she turned 8,700 100 days old, where on that exact same day, May Day turned 13405 days old. So they crisscrossed on an exact day. If y'all would like for me to just show you, we can do that. Hang on, I'll get it prepped. So May Day 1985 turned 13405 days old on January 12th, which is the distance between my stepdaughter and I. 13405 days old. And May Day and I are 8,700 days apart. Now watch when I key in my stepdaughter's number, it's going to pop 8,700. 3, 19, 1998. On that day, she turned 8,700 days old. So these two ladies that I know, one's my stepdaughter, the other is a friend. They crisscrossed. And we know that we're looking at, or that they symbolically, whether it's going to end up true or not, they're symbolically saying May Day is the 86ing of the 88. Again, May Day is the 86ing of the 88. Whether it occurs May 1st, whether he rises on the third day, because the Dark Knight Rises was all coded with 121, which is May Day, which means he would die on the 29th, rise on the third day of May Day, or like I told Michael, May Day stands for any day in May. Theoretically, any day in May is May Day. It's a May Day. So is it really the 14th? So, you know, I started tracking their numbers, and my May Day friend also has an 886 coming up in her number. And it's not the 886, it's the 138 with an 86. So it's Donald Trump 138 combined with an 86. That all hits on next year's total solar eclipse. Do we have to wait that long? Geez. It actually begins on April 12th and runs through April 21st as far as all of those numbers are concerned. But she has the 138 and the 86 for a certain amount. Now, if stepdaughter is in late June time, and my friend, because remember those two crisscross, they did it on January 12th, 2 days after this year's transfer portal date. What about the midpoint between these two dates? And I guess we would say specific to the 24th, right? We established the 24th was the day of 2022. And we would want to make that a 63 also. So you would go back 5 days, so it'd be the 15th. Because you want to 80, 60, 83 to make it proper. Now, include both dates. You get the 296, which is a progression. 37, 296 divided by 37. That's your 8th progression, which is my stepdaughter's mom, 1-digit marriage number. My 1-digit marriage number, remember, I'm 51, 52, 50, I'm 5. Is that what Trump's 58 is all about? We've never figured out what Trump's 58 is all about. That's when Earl died on May 8th, both our marriage numbers. That's just one example. the car tag. And when we read the article, if you remember when we read the article a long time ago, they were arguing over car keys. So this was it. The end of my junior year is right before his graduation. He was a senior. And it was on May 8th. He had 22 and a 27. Remember when I met Candy, it was 1227, or there was a 227 the year I met her, and our combined number. He was shot by a 22 for February 2nd. And where is it? Where it says the car keys? There it is. And her name was Augustus, of all names. The month of August. We'll have to look at that too. He was shot and killed by his mother. She was taken into custody. She got off on it because they claimed it was self-defense. And our quarterback of our high school football team, who was about to graduate, was dead over a reported dispute for the car keys. The car tag was 638, and 638 was how much it cost me to file for divorce. Those things, those numbers that the Lord just had me remember. And so if we go to the 6/24, 2022, to 4/15, 2023, we have the 269 days. Well, half of 296, I believe, is 148. So the midpoint of that you have to really back it up a day. But depending on when you use the 86 from stepdaughter and the 86 from my friend, you could land on November 19th. I mean, November 17th, 11/17. Those particular two dates, you would actually back that up a date because we included both dates would hit on November 18th. Because you have to, this one doesn't allow you to include or to start at that date. It's 148 after that date. You're adding it to that number. So that's eerily very close to November 17th. And that's kind of, those are a few things. Now let's move on to something else. If you go to 6/23, include both dates of 11/17, it hits right on that 148 days. And that's the day before that condo collapse. So you're dealing right there. You're in a very heavy duty sweet spot, math wise. Y'all remember my 37 plus 37 plus 13, which comes to 87. Candy's original marriage number. And that friend of mine were exactly 8,700 days apart. Let's put in the transfer portal date. That wasn't what it was. Remember, it was the third progression of 37, which is 111 plus 13, which gave us that 124. We did that video on that the other day, remember? If you've been following all of these. Now, this is fascinating here. May 14th, which was I've done I've got a whole playlist on the Trump false flag event going down on May 14th, 2022. When you portal back, it lands on September 8th. Well, what is September 8th? That's 98. And him going down in a faked event is the 98th verse in the Bible for September 8th. They portal back and forth to each other. That to me is just tremendously huge. Tremendously huge. And I saw, behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow. And here it is. A crown was given unto him. That's IPEC goat. That's the twin Trumps going down. And what happens? What do you see in IPEC goat? War. Markets crash. Sure enough. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Conquering the earth with World War III, and to eventually conquer the sheep after the abomination of desolation. So those two portal back and forth to each other. So what could be happening if he's not going down on the 29th, and we suspect he could or would be, but there's a lot of other dates out there too. There's hundreds of ciphers that we're showing you. That's why we track all these different ciphers, all these different ways to look at when he would go down. I can get rid of Christian Bale's birthday that we were tracking, and we'll continue to track it. If he goes down tomorrow, my May Day friend, she lands on that progression. A progression of 37 lands on tomorrow. And then we will continue the Alec Baldwin Day of the pop on the movie set, which was, of course, that transfer portal. That date that went down, transfer portals over to April Fool's Day. That tells you anything. But we'll track it. That hits on the 24th. And then all the things that hit on the 29th, they're all over here in red. They're just amazing. We love them. 29th, 30th, and May 1st. It's a 3-day event. Dies, at rest, rises like Jesus, right? Because we've proven that that's their format, rising on the 3rd day, because the dark night, which is all about the darkened right eye, the dark night came out on July 18th and then rose July 20th is when the Dark Knight Rises came out 2 days later on the 20th. Yes, they were 4 years apart, but you see what they did. On the 3rd day, he rose. Dark Knight, July 18th. Dark Knight Rises, July 20th. Boom. You with me? So we're always looking at a 3-day cipher, and we have been forever and a day. Forever and a day, we've been looking for a 3-day. Remember, a long time ago, even before Michael got involved with his gematria, which brought so much to the table. And then, of course, he discovered the 222, 666, 888 events in their world bouncing off of eclipses. But before even Michael came in and started doing gematria for us, I was just always looking at 2 days before any full moon, because it shows we're coming up to a full moon. Now, the Dark Knight Rises movie had nothing to do with a full moon. So it's not guaranteed that he would come up through a full moon, because we know that May Day, there's no full moon on May Day. But while he's at rest, or at his rising day, depending on what time zone you're in, there is a new moon. And remember, we established in yesterday's mini videos, in their world, what takes place on a new moon then culminates on a full moon. So he could go down on the new moon. That could be what all this is about, him going down on the new moon and then rising up on the full moon. Or this new moon, excuse me, this whole series of events taking place on the 29th, 30th, and May 1st could possibly just be spiritual setups established on the new moon for what is going to take place 3 days before or 2 days before he would rise on the total lunar eclipse. In other words, him going down on the 14th is very possible. And this is all just ritualistic items that bounce off, established at the time of the new moon, as it really is about what's going to happen on Israel's anniversary. Because on that 14th, don't forget, Trump turns 9/11 months old. Israel turns 8/88 months old. That's huge. Huge. As a matter of fact, we have to track that date with 37 progressions moving forward. If nothing goes down then we have to track that date. Absolutely, because that's establishing too much. And we already know that date bounces off eclipses, so, which is always a prerequisite established by Michael, that everything in Trump's event will bounce off of an eclipse, whether lunar or solar, partial, annular, blood, doesn't matter. If it's got the word eclipse in it, it has to bounce off of the date we suspect the book of Revelation would be opened. This is all established by our God, who has created the end from the beginning. He has established everything. We established in yesterday's video, one of them, that the Lord creates evil, creates darkness, has created all things, the evil and the good, for the day of evil, the abomination of desolation day, which is when he begins God's amazing great tribulation, which what? Purifies his sheep. The souls are crying out, hey, when are we going to get our justice, Lord? And he says, you must wait a while longer while the rest of your brethren go through what I've established, this great tribulation at the hands of the Antichrist. We read that yesterday in Revelation, in my Revelation study. And they cry with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And they're not really alive. These are just souls speaking. So it's figurative. There's not humans actually aware of what's going on, because we've established way too many times that when you die, you are asleep. The dead in Christ rise first. And in Daniel, it literally says, well, in one of the epistles, we shall not all sleep. And then Daniel said in Daniel 12, some will awake to everlasting life, and then some, of course, to their judgment that is established for eternity. Even though it's not eternal torment, the judgment is eternal. Anyway, so the white robes were given to every one of them, and it said unto them that they should rest a little season until what? Until their fellow servants and brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. The Lord has established every bit of this. Every 37, every full moon, every blood moon that their world must bounce off of and do things off of was established by the Lord. So you have to make sure you understand that. That's big, 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 big understanding. A lot of people, they never quite get to that. They never can quite. And I think it's like a God versus Satan thing, and then God's going to win in the end, but there's this war taking. No. Whatever war is taking place, God established that the war would be taking place. In charge of every single bit of it. All right, so I'm sure I lost my point. Let me figure out where I'm at. So I looked at the distance between these two that bounce off each other in the transfer portal. May 14th to September 8th. It's a solid 117 days. Which 117 divided by 2, or the midpoint, in other words, 117 divided by 2, 585. Now, wouldn't you know that I got married to Candy, to my stepwife, Candyman, Candy Crush. Got married to her at that address. Do y'all remember me showing y'all that? Town Manor, Auburndale, Florida. The day Earl died, 5/8, May 8th was the address of where we, 585. That's the address where we got married. Guess where her address was? 117. Can't make it up, can you? 117. 117 Whittier Lane, Winter Haven, Florida. You can look it up. 117 Whittier Lane, Winter Haven, Florida. She literally went from 117 to the marriage at 585. But actually before that, she was at 2015. We had already moved in together. So let's look at the 117 and cut it in half, 585. And add 585 or 58 and a half days to when Trump would go down, maybe, or an established date of this 9/11 and 888 months. When you add the 585, it becomes July 11th or 7/11 and a half. Right there. That's big. Big for what? I don't know, but everything just keeps connecting and bouncing. Let's go on to the next thing I wanted to show y'all. All this hit me like as I was coming home from work. My goodness, do I have the best time teaching my Haitian students. They're all adults, and my Mexican students the English language. And I don't even speak their language. We'll look it up. We'll look up things on the internet. I'll let it come through my cell phone. But yeah, I've never loved what I do more for getting paid. All right. But all this sort of hit me coming home, all these things. And I went through a lot of this last night in my head, and but thought to do a video on every bit of this. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this entire video. Let's don't forget that Trump's birthday to October 2nd is 110 days. Doesn't matter if that's a leap year or not, because that doesn't go over February 28th to 29th. That's just established every single year, that from Trump's birthday to October 2nd, which is either when he's going down or it reps when he's going down. In other words, things have to kind of bounce off that date, or that's a date in their world. They simply established in their world that they established October 2nd, because the twin Trumps were each 110 stories high, and 110 is the amount from his birthday to October 2nd. There you go. I mean, it could be as simple as that why they made October 2nd in Donnie Darko. Could be. How do we know? Trump was born on the 165th day of the year. There are 165 days from 420 to October 2nd. What we think is the abomination of desolation date in 2023, and when we think is the date that he would go down, figuratively or actually. We know they've established October 2nd through the movie Donnie Darko 10,000% as a figurative or literal date of when he's going to go down. If he's literally going to go down, then they will start to collapse it. They won't let us all talk back and forth and all over social media and all. No, they will have already have shut everything down through the beginning of cyber attacks and wars and internet crashing, removing Facebook, all that kind of stuff, YouTube. Yeah. For me, they take down Facebook, YouTube, I'm done. I don't have any form to communicate with anybody anymore in any way, except to call people individually. But 165 days from 420 to October 2nd. Because don't forget, going back the other way, they're 200 days even. And when you include both dates, it's 201. If you include both dates here, you get 166 for what? WON 166, Book of Revelation. Because the Book of Revelation is the 66th book in the Bible. That's why Trump Tower, which is 58 stories high, there's your 5'8", is also his penthouse is called the 66th floor. I think that's everything. Hang on. And don't forget, my friend, Mayday, 66 days between when her number Trump and I's combined number, she turned 13463 days old. 33 days later, I turned that many days old. Then 33 days later, you get the total lunar eclipse. Well, you go back 66 days to when that began. I haven't gone up yet. Let's just go up and see what it comes to. Comes to July 21st. That's 7/21. Now, I will tell you another date that I'm looking at big time is 7/25, because that is the main Bible verse that establishes the Antichrist in the Old Testament as the horn, as the trump, because we know he's here in his own name. It says, shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And when they do Trump Tower with a single, we know Trump Tower has 5 multiple addresses that match the passage 721 through 725. Don't forget that did hit on July 21st or 7/21. Now, what's also amazing about establishing that is that The Dark Knight Rises came out on July 20th, and then boom, shall make war with the saints is the Bible verse of 7/21 or July 21st. And it runs through shall wear out the saints, which is Daniel 7/25, which is the end of Trump Tower's 5 multiple addresses. Trump Tower has 5 multiple addresses, 7/21 through 7/25. And there it is, Trump Tower, Wikipedia. Trump Tower is at 7/21 through 7/25 Fifth Avenue. Now, if you just look for one number, Trump Tower address.
All right, Trump Tower around Sunny Isles Beach.
Trump Tower, New York City address.
Trump Tower is at 725 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10022.
Best keep an eye on July 25th. Straight up. Straight up. Keep an eye on that. Or, yeah, if either for his event to go down or the abomination of desolation, when he would return from the dead and make war with the saints and then wear out the saints, because that's what's taking place in Daniel 7:21 through 7:25. So those are also things we need to be looking at. And notice in his tower address, it's got October 2nd right in it. 1002. Didn't we just see a 122 a while ago? What was the 122 that we looked at? And I said, see? 122. Oh, hang on. Let's close with this. I will be 222. I'm sorry, I will be 22666 days old. Oh, good grief. Hang on. My run of being 222 something days old, because today's like 22205 or something, we'll establish in a minute, but it ends on July 25th. I'm 222 99 days old on July 25th. That's when it ends. Now, don't forget, you know, I pet goat. If you look at my birth through 7/27, which was Earl's birthday, it's the length of IPEC goat. And if you include my birthday and the length of IPEC goat, the 7/27 date, you do get Earl's number of 22302. Those are, you know, but I'm alive how many? 3186 weeks old. There's so much to these different time frames. It's just insane. Adding the 66 days to the total lunar eclipse coming up, the way it hits off July 1st. I think that's everything. I think we've covered everything. Help me with whatever you got. If you see anything, if anything rings a bell, if any of this stuff makes sense, you know, feel free. Love to hear it. All right. Love y'all.